I recently hit 1000 days in my Minecraft hardcore world. A world where we created villages, built a bunch of farms, and transformed boring structures, all to try and survive with only one life. So to celebrate how amazingly successful that went, I've wrapped the whole thing into a cheeky Minecraft movie for you to hopefully enjoy. So let's crack on and see what we got up to during 1000 days in Minecraft hardcore. Okay, bye! 1.20 is here and I'm a little bit excited. Wahoo! There's a whole bunch of exciting new blocks like these, and these, and these. We have a gorgeous brand new biome, new armor trim so you can look fabulous, as well as some incredibly lifelike new mobs. You right, mate? So today I'm going to dive straight into a new world, hopefully come across the best mob ever, and turn this jungle into a beautiful bamboo village with all our early game needs. So here we are, my first steps into 1.20 and I am buzzing. You might notice that we're in hardcore again, because that went like so well last time. Ah! Quick, fly! Oh god! I guess first things first, time for some tree chopping and some tools. No point waiting around, stone tools gathered already, and I guess that these are pretty much useless now. And I think we're going to leave that here so we remember where spawn was. So what's the goal for episode 1 and for a new world? Well, we're in 1.20 now and I am seriously hyped for those new bamboo blocks. So I want to find a jungle and build some pretty awesome stuff with it. And I don't want to make just a starter house, I want to make a whole village with everything that we need to get started in a new world. And for me, that means that we need a plan. And the first build for our starter village is all about getting ourselves some food. But first, hello, cherry biome. Oh, I haven't seen one of these yet. They look so good. And the petals, oh, I love these. Wait, so how do these work? Let me grab a few of these. Wait, so you place one and you could just basically just keep spamming them. Oh, I love it. I love it. I really want to grab some of this stuff because damn, it looks so good. But the sun's going down, so we should probably try and find ourselves a bed first. Any sheep around? No? Ooh, a village. Oh my god, that is so lucky. Ooh, a second village. Sorry, buddy. This is my bed for tonight. Shall we go and get some of that cherry wood? And then we can raid these villagers. So that's about a stack-ish of some logs, and we got a bunch of these saplings which look amazing. Time to go and see what good stuff this has to offer. Ooh, one of these armorer things? I don't know what they are, but usually they have good stuff. Hey dude, I'm gonna steal some of your stuff, alright? Yeah, you're fine about it. So we got a whole bunch of stuff, some useful and some not, and nothing else bad happened, okay? I didn't do anything. But like I said, yes, sorry, am I interrupting you? I want to build in a jungle this season. I got a taste for free stuff. So I'm thinking shipwrecks. So shipwrecks are pretty OP at the start of a new world. I got all this really great stuff, as well as these snazzy clothes. Oh dear. You okay? Apparently not. And on my travels, I also managed to pick up some spruce and some dark oak logs. And I think now it's probably time for us to actually go and find that jungle for us to live in. Oh my goodness, it's a camel! I've been so excited for these guys. Look at him. Look how cute they are sitting down like that. Oh, you're so cute. Yes, you're cute. Look at his ears. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, look at them stand up. Oh, these are just the best mob ever. We need to keep you, dude. We need to keep you. Where can we get a saddle from? He loves us. Okay, we need to go and find a saddle so we can come and claim this guy. I guess we're in a desert, so we could try and find a desert temple. Wait a minute. Is that... It is. Literally right next door. Ooh, another smithing template. So we got the coastal one from the shipwrecks and 2 of these dune ones. I say 2. I mean 4. Ooh, saddle. Ooh, prop 3. I'll have that. Ooh, diamond horse armor. Do you think you can put that on a camel? Where are you, Mr. Camel? Here we are. Oh, the saddle looks so cool. Can we sit on? Oh, yes. Just chilling.
2 hours later.
Is he actually going to stand up if I'm sat on him? Should we give him a little break? Hey! I think we were right. Now we can actually go and find that jungle. Oh, these guys are actually pretty slow. Well, apparently trying to get a camel through the jungle isn't that easy. Oh god, I'm stuck! But we made it, and I think we might have just found the perfect jungle spot for our little village. So let's hop off this guy. I think he needs a name, by the way. And he's already started running away, so we're probably going to need a little box to try and keep him from escaping. Okay, maybe he's actually way too lazy to run away. Well, this is sad. But it's only temporary. Let's start getting ourselves settled in with the first build for our jungle village. And the first thing that we need to do is clear out a bit of space. So that's given us a bit more space to work with. Haven't released him yet. And for this one, we're going to need a whole bunch of this stuff. And then we can use those to craft a whole bunch of these new bamboo blocks. And for a palette for this, I want to use the bamboo, and it kind of makes sense to use some of the jungle wood with it. And then I'm thinking some of the dark oak that we found as a bit of a roof trim. Probably stripped though. So let's start up with some walls for a little house. Well, the food house has got its first little occupant, and you might think it looks a bit weird. Well, that's because we're going to go for a little slanted roof on this one. I think that's starting to actually look a little bit like a house. And if we grab some of these bamboo bits, we can chuck them in the roof. And I actually think some of this moss, and if we crafted up some melon blocks, that would go really well with the green bamboo stuff. I think that is looking pretty decent. Although I am thinking that the walls look a little bit plain, and maybe we need another block just to give it a bit of texture. And we do have all of these hay bales that we got from the villagers, so maybe we could go and find some mud and go for some packed mud with the jungle wood. But first we're going to have to head off and find a mangrove. You don't want to know how far away that mangrove was. But now we can turn a bunch of this hay into wheat, and we can make a whole load of packed mud. Yeah, that looks wicked. Very jungly, if that's a word. Now let's chuck in some detailing, like some doors, windows, and some other bits and bobs. That's looking pretty good. Only one slight problem. Someone's kind of moved in already. But enough about him. Next thing, we just need to spam a whole bunch of vines all over the place. So now the only thing left for us to do is sort a little chimney. And I have a very cool idea which requires us to get some of this stuff, which we can then smelt up. And I think with these bricks we can make one of these very fetching new decorated pots. And then if we break that and do this, and something like this, and we could put the pot there with a little campfire on there and some trapdoors. And we got ourselves a very funky little chimney. And given this house is supposed to be for food, let's add a couple of little pens for some animals and a whole bunch of crops all around. Well, I think that is looking very lovely indeed, especially the parkour sheep. And we even managed to put together a little bit of an interior. Oh, you're right there, mate. So that's the first part of our village done. Next up, we need somewhere for storage. Because I imagine this is fast going to become a problem. And after getting together a blooming lovely block palette in the first house, this is what we came up with. The same combo of blocks, but with a rascal bit of dirt and rooted dirt in there for good measure. And with this house, we added a lovely little tower because, well, why not? And you're not going to believe it. I've even done a lovely little interior with a few bits of storage that's going to keep us going for hopefully a little while. And you might notice we're missing Mr. Camel. Well, he's been temporarily rehomed inside the food house. You right, dude? It doesn't mean that we're going to eat him though, I promise. So now that's 2 of the houses from our bamboo village all ticked off. Next up, it's all about mining, because early game is pretty much all about mindless mining for resources. And whilst this armour combination that we've got is pretty fetching, it isn't really giving me that much protection in hardcore. And when we're all done, we're going to build another lovely little house to go in our village just about here. But for now, I'm going to dig down here and create a few different mines at different wire levels so we can get all the different resources we need. Maybe even some diamonds? But because that's incredibly boring, I'm going to go and do that and I'll bring you back when it's all done. Okay? So I've been down here for a while and I've been doing a bit of maths. I'm pretty sure that to get enough diamondes for a pick, enchanting table and full diamond gear, that I'm going to need about 29 of the bad boys. Well, lucky for me, I think I found enough. 33 diamonds. So let's treat ourselves to some snazzy new clothes. Goodbye, rubbish old junk. Shall we quickly build ourselves a house now on top of those mines? Lovely jubbly. So that's the mining house for our village all done, and it's really starting to come together. Next up, we need to build up our XP levels. Because our luck is in. Because if we head inside here and go down here, and then head all the way down that way, I stumbled across this thing. And if we dig our way out of here, it brings us out right about here, which is the perfect place for another house for our little village. But before we do anything with that, I know I said that this armour was snazzy. Well, I lied. Because we can really make it snazzy with some of these awesome armour trims that we found earlier. But I actually want to have a little bit of an adventure, because we've been building, chopping and mining for quite a while. So seeing as we're living in a jungle, I thought maybe we could go and find one of those jungle temples where I think you can get another armour trim. How are you actually supposed to find anything in these things? Oh, there's one. That legit took so long. We must have travelled like a gazillion blocks or something. So question, does anyone actually bother to try and crack these codes? Or do you just do what I do and just break it? Ooh, yes! The wild armour trim. 2 of them. Ooh, and a diamond. Guess we might as well get some free stuff too. There's the other one. Ooh, 2 more. So we got 4 of them. That's so good. Let's head back and see what it all looks like on this armour. Ah, home sweet home. After all that walking, food is starting to become a bit of a problem, so we might have to say bye to a few of you guys. So we put all our stuff away, we got some food cooking up, and now it's time to have a look at some of these armour trims. I think I'm right in saying you need to make yourself a smithing table, so a couple of bits of iron and some wood. Let's plonk that down there, strip off a bit, and then we can have a look at some of these. So, oh wait, yeah, we're going to need an ingot. Let's try a few things. I think you can try like lapis and gold. Let's give this a go then. I think we'll start with the chest plate, given that's the main focal point. And I think, as we're in a jungle, it should be the wild trim. Oh yeah, I like the look of that. Let's go with that one. Let's have a look then. How does this look? Gorgeous. Time lapse, baby. So that's another beautiful build for our bamboo village done. And if we go inside and head down here, you can see our beautifully decorated skelly farm. Okay, didn't quite get to that bit yet. Next on the list was Enchanting, but before that we need to get some levels out of these losers. And a couple more taps should get us up to 45 levels, which should hopefully get us some good enchantments on the armour and our pickaxe. So first we're going to need to farm a bunch of sugarcane so we can make some bookshelves. Ooh, a parrot. Should we get distracted? Yoink. Hello, friend. Oh, you're hungry, aren't you? Oh, you didn't want many seeds, did ya? I guess it wouldn't be much of a jungle if we didn't have a parrot, would it? And I think we've got some leather, but not quite enough. Sorry, guys. And we don't actually have any obsidian for the enchanting table, so we're going to have to find some orange juice. And luckily, I think there was some down here in our little diamond mine. Quick little sidetrack. Something bad happened in my pursuit of getting a lead. Ah well, never mind. He was really annoying anyway. But anyway, now we've got the bits crafted we need to make this enchanting table, and I just need to figure out where we're going to put it. And looking around here, I kind of think the perfect place is in this little spot here. But it might be a little bit tricky because we're going to have to make it in like a kind of diagonal form. So I reckon right about there is probably the middle, and then we're going to need to figure out a way to put all the bookshelves just around it. I think that's just about right. Should we check that we can get a level 30 enchantment? We can. And now we can basically just decorate the hell out of it. Which I think has turned out pretty blooming nice. I've got a bit of lapis from earlier mining. Let's see what we can get. Ooh, Unbreaking 3. It's a bit risky. Don't know if we're going to get fortune or what we're going to get. Should we risk it? Yeah, let's risk it. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, you are kidding me. Sod that. That's coming right off. Attempt number 2. Ooh, efficiency 4. What else is going to be on that? Ugh. Seeing as that enchant was rubbish, should we just enchant our armour instead? It's not perfect, but it'll do. Helmet's pretty good. So now both our XP and our enchanting setup are all done. The final part of our starter village is being brave and sorting a trip to the Nether. So I'm thinking we can maybe make a path that goes all the way down here and hide something in the trees over there. So let's do that, and while we're at it, maybe decorate this area a little bit because these dirt paths are looking kind of pants. So here we are, our bamboo starter village is all done. What do we think? First off, as you can see, we've let Mr. Camel out, so he can now be free from what was, let's be frank, basically a camel prison. But I really think all of these finishing touches really make the difference to bring all of these builds together beautifully. And I've created this like leafy, fancy, bannery thing between these two towers, which leads all the way down to a lovely little path over to our portal. And that's the final thing that I think we need to accomplish for our first episode. Let's dip into the Nether to see what our Nether sport is. Hopefully it's a good one and we're like near a fortress or something. Oh, you are kidding me. Oh, jeez. No. No. No way. Not doing that today. I think we'll leave it there for now, shall we? See ya! This is a desert, and the 1.20 update introduced the world of Minecraft to the best mob the desert has ever seen. No, not that thing. This guy. Yes, the camel was here, and in our first episode, we stumbled across this desert village and stole this guy who we took over to our new jungle starter village, which we made in episode 1. And he fits in nicely over here, but I kind of feel bad that we took him away from his natural habitat. So today, hopefully we're going to find him some friends and we're going to build up a camel paradise that's fit for a king. And what sort of camel doesn't have a name? Probably a lot of them, I guess. But in the comments on the last video, I had an absolute ton of ideas suggesting names for this guy. And my personal favourite was from Chelsea, who suggested Bob.
Well, Bob, welcome on board.
In between episodes, I've been building up some levs at the Skelly farm, and I've been grinding away in the mines searching for some diamonds. And thankfully I also managed to get this beaut with Fortune 3 from the enchanting table, so let's see how many diamonds we can get. 53 diamonds, baby! Well, that was grim, but we do now at least have some very shiny new gear. The only thing that's missing is mending, but we can figure that out later. But enough farting about over here. I promised you a new life away from the jungle, Bob, didn't I? Time to head off to new lands far, far away. He is officially the laziest camel in the world. We finally made it back over to the desert, which seems like a logical place for a camel paradise. And just over here with the Enderman is actually Bob's original village. And I've been searching around a bit, and just over here I've noticed that there is a whole island. So I think that we could probably lay down some roots for old Bob just over here. But I don't think he can be on his own, because a lonely camel is a sad camel. So Bob, let's go find you some friends and we can make a whole bunch of extra Bobs. Would you believe it? Is there any more Bobs? Lads, have you seen Bob too? I'm looking for another Bob. Oh, Bob! He popped out of the hole. Right, I've got some leads. That's looking pretty precarious. Come on, dude, come with me. Hey. Oh, goodness me. Be careful. Time to head to your new home, Bob and Bob 2. Now, I think I'm right in saying that we need some of this, ouch, to breed these guys. Do you want some? Here you go. Do we get another little Bob? Do we get a mini Bob? A baby Bob! Oh my goodness, look at this guy. Bob. Meet Bob and Bob. Let's make a layout for these guys' new home. Layout's done, and while we were doing that, we kind of got rudely interrupted by some absolute hooligans. I've also had to store all of the Bobs in a big hole because they kind of kept walking away, but it does mean that we can breed them up, so that helps. Hello, Bob the Fourth. But as you can see, this is going to be a pretty big build, so we're going to need a hell of a lot of materials. So if we're going to need loads of resources, then these tools are probably not going to hold out. So let's sleep over at that village and try and do some spending for some mending. So here he is, the guy we wanted. 10 emeralds for mending. Not bad. Only issue being we're going to need some emeralds. Thank you. Let's trade a bit more and then we'll get some books. Much better. We've got mending now on these 3, so that should keep us going for a little while. Time now to grab some resources. And we're going to need a fair bit of sand, and I want to find another little friend who can help us with collecting it. Bob, we're going on a trip. Okay, I found what I'm looking for, so you can probably guess what we're here for. Only problem is, it's going to be surrounded by a bunch of absolute losers, so we're going to need to deal with them. Edit in snow, cue dramatic music. No, not that one. That's better. I was kind of expecting a bit more of a battle than that. There was like 3 pillagers. Oh well, works for me. Guys, let me give you something so I don't lose you. Here you go. Have a dark oak fence. Where'd the other guy go? Oh, there he is. Come back. Come back. Oh wait, I got leads. Let's use those. Uh-oh. You can go away. Thank you. There we go. We got him. Oh no. Time to go and gather a bunch of resources. And first off, we needed to gather up a bunch of sand and sandstone before repairing our tools, going to get some copper and then placing that all out to oxidize near the build. After that, we decimated not just 1 but 2 villages for its terracotta before spending way too long chopping down a whole bunch of trees. We then bred up some more Bobs before going to get some iron from a nearby mine shaft, and then we finished up by grabbing a bunch of balls. Clay balls, obviously. So after what seems like an age of gathering stuff up, we are finally all ready to start building this thing. I only have one question. What's this guy's problem? So the plan here is for us to make a big camel paradise. And I'm basically thinking walls going all the way around this area with a nice little entranceway here and some towers in the corners. And for a block palette, I'm thinking we go for the desert theme. So we're going to go all the way with a little gradient from the stripped oak and birch wood up to the sandy blocks. So let's build up the first tower then, shall we? And this looks like a nice tower, but it's missing a pop of colour. So let's pop up here, break out these blocks, and then we'll pop down some of the terracotta from the villages in here with a couple of bamboo trapdoors, some birch stairs and some sandstone stairs, and then some jungle trapdoors. I think now we just need a little bit of colour at the top with a bit of shape. So that's what we can use the copper and maybe a bit of acacia for. And there we have our first tower all done. Time to build a few more, methinks. The towers are all done and this is really starting to take shape now. And I'm starting to think about perhaps making use of this area for something a little more than just a shrine for old Bob and all the other Bobs. And as we're going to be spending a lot of time over here visiting Bob, I thought that maybe we could stick a little farm underneath. And we obviously aren't there just yet, but eventually we will be getting some wings and we're going to need some rockets. So we might as well get a cheeky sugarcane farm on the go early doors. And that means it's time for some danger and a trip back to the Nether. And now the Nether spawn over at our base completely sucked. Oh, you are kidding me. Oh, jeez. So I think that our best option is to make a fresh one over here and kind of just hope for the best. Which means we're going to need some obsidian. And off we go. Oh, you are joking. How big is this basalt delta? Ooh, quartz. Let's just precariously balance up here and get what we came for. I've got 18, which is good, but I kind of want a little bit more. Let's be all dramatic and go over there and get that bit, which is scary. Nailed it. Let's get out of this hellhole and go make the farm. Sugarcane farm is now done. Can you believe how good this looks? This is actually the same one that I built in my old hardcore world because basically it just works a treat. And now every time we come and visit the Bobs, we can build up a little bit more. But now it's really time to get this build rattling along. Time to add some walls in between these towers. So first let's build up a little base wall. And then maybe add some little arches in at the front here for some shape. Looking good, but it's looking a little bit plain. So lastly, we need to add a splash of colour so it pops a bit in this desert. And then we just whiz round the whole thing and finish it off. Time lapse! Oh, this is really starting to look awesome now. So we've now got our big castle walls and towers done all the way around. However, it is looking a tad empty on the inside. So it's time to start thinking about an interior. And how do we figure out what goes inside a camel paradise? Snow does something from the comments you can join in too. Yeah! Yes, it's the return of the world-renowned feature Snow Does Something, where Snow, that's me, does something from the comments. And this week the suggestion comes from X-Ray Wiz, who suggested making an oasis. And some might say that that sounds like the perfect paradise surrounding for Bob and all of the other Bobs. So let's crack on with that and finish this interior, shall we? It's done! And oh my days, I am so happy with how this turned out. We've got our beautiful oasis all done, and of course it wouldn't be a Snow Does Something from the comments without a little sign thanking the person whose idea it was. Thanks X-Ray Wiz! And don't forget, if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments of the video. So we have our oasis done with a lovely little island in the middle, with a big custom palm tree for the camels to get a bit of shade. We've got a couple of other little palm trees knocking about, and over in the corner over there we've got some cactus for the camels to munch on. And in the corner over here we've got a lovely little shelter for them to chill out and have a little snooze. But it isn't really much of a camel paradise at the minute, seeing as they're all still kind of milling about over there. Last one to move is the OG camel, Big Bob. Come on dude, welcome to your new home. And with that I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, see ya! Oh no, can they escape? Oh hello! Welcome back to Hardcore, where so far we've made this bamboo starter village that even Minecraft themselves posted about. And we've also done the most important thing that you can do in the whole of Minecraft and made a paradise for these guys. And as you can see, they absolutely love the place, although they do have a bit of a tendency to try and escape. But I will make them love it! But as you can see, in the process of making this thing, we made an absolutely horrific mess, and I am still yet to clean it up. And whilst I do love our little bamboo starter village, our storage house is starting to look a little bit full and pretty disorganised. So today we're going to build this area up a little bit and create an absolutely mahoosive house, completely filled with chests. But a storage house isn't really enough, is it? So let's find a way to help cure my laziness and maybe hide a few cheeky little farms in there as well. So first things first, let's find a place to put this build. And if we hop into FreeCam quickly, I'm thinking that this little area over here would be a good spot. But this is where deciding to base out of a really dense jungle becomes a bit of a problem. Tree chopping time! And now we have a clean slate, it's time to make an outline for a house. So let's go grab some random blocks, that'll do nicely, and go and give it a go. And my approach is generally a bunch of shapes mashed together and then kinda try to make it work. So for this one we have 15 by 11 rectangle, another 11 by 7 rectangle, another 7 by 7 shape, and a 5 by 5 tower at the back. And other than some pretty dangerous holes, that should do the job. And now I think it's probably a good idea to get our main farm running to start building up resources while we build. So let's keep our eye on the prize. Sorry, it's an iron farm. Which of course means we're going to need some villagers, and I'm thinking a little cheeky villager breeder will do us well for future trades and other villager related shenanigans. So yeah, wish me luck. Ugh, villagers. But they are here now after an averagely epic journey, and we've set up this really simple villager breeder, which I will link in the description. And oh yeah, we've got a new feline friend. Hope me out with some name ideas in the comments. And in theory, if we tower up here and give these guys a little bit of bread, some for you, and some for you. Oh. Second time lucky. In theory, we should get a little baby. Ooh, I think I heard little baby. Oh my god, I totally forgot. We get the jungle villager skin. This looks so much better than this guy's boring parents. But we can't have this sat out here looking like this, can we? So in true snow procrastination style, let's delay building our house by building another house. And here's a really quick video of me building that house in less than 3 seconds. And it's ever so slightly better than being out in the open, but cozy would be an understatement. Is it just me, or does that just look like a massive, giant, weird villager head? But it will do nicely to give us the villagers that we need for the next thing that's on our list, which is that long overdue iron farm. And once again, I will probably go for an underground iron farm because I like to hide these things away. And I think it will probably go in this little section of the house, and we can create a little stairs that go down towards where the iron farm is. And we're going to use this nice and easy video to follow, which I will link below. And while I make that quickly, you can, like, I don't know, do a dance in your living room or something. That was weird. And the other thing that's weird is the surrounding area is now kind of filled with random buttons. And that's because the iron farm is now complete, and we need to make it so that bit up there is the only place that the golems can spawn. Seems to work alright. Which means buttons everywhere within a 16 block radius, because I decided to build it right next to a blooming cave. So now that's chugging along nicely, the next priority is some better automated food. Time for another farm then. And because I really can't be bothered to keep manually cooking food, I'm thinking that this little section of the house would be great for, let's call it a chicken sanctuary. And I'm using this Chapman video to help me make it, but the one that I want requires the entrails of a green slimy monster that my mob drop storage currently doesn't have. So time for an epic journey to go and find one. Well, while you recover from that average epicness, I'll show you a beautifully complete chicken farm. Well, I say complete, I need to get these guys in here, and then keep breeding these guys up until we have 24 in there, which is the most that will fit in there before entity cramming becomes a thing, and they all just kind of cease to exist. So I'll keep doing that, and then talk about the next farm, which is going to be a very cozy, which is code word for small, auto smelter. And for that final of our 3 farms, it's time to bring back a very special segment from the past. Average redstone with average snow, teach you all the things that you need to know. Yes, it's time for average redstone with average snow, where an absolute redstone genius teaches you how we make a farm.
Average Snow is an idiot. Wow, breaking news. Everything he's about to show you has been learned from a Misty Cat video, which is linked in the description. It's highly likely Snow has it all wrong, and it's fully recommended that you just watch the video and ignore everything Snow says. I know I always do.
So let's make a smelter, and then tell you all about it. So over here we put some stuff that we want to cook into this box. This then drops into the super collector down here. We then have this switchy thing. When we flip the switchy thing, it makes the speedy track light up, and it makes the super collector shoot across the speedy track and the normal tracks. It shoots over these sucky things, and then it drops the items that we want to cook into these hot cobble boxes. But wait, it won't cook because there's no fuel to cook it. So we have to go over here, and we have the same setup that we do over there. But in this box, we put some coal. Then we flip the switchy thing, and instead of sending the super collector over the top of the hot cobble boxes, it sends it across the back. You can then see that everything starts to light up and start cooking away. We then turn off the switchy things over here, and then in this box we have some nice warm chicken for dinner. And that was average redstone with average snow. Average redstone with average snow, teach you all the things that you need to know. And now we've eventually got these 3 farms sorted, should we finally get around to building a big box around it? But it's starting to get a bit ridiculous how painfully low on resources we currently are. So let's have a super satisfying resource gathering sesh. So here we go, several chests filled to the brim with bits and bobs, and we are ready to get started. The chickens, they're so loud. And we will get started by building up some walls with a similar palette to the one that we used on our bamboo village over there. Time lapse time! So that's done. I had to change it up. So originally we had stripped spruce logs, but it kind of blended too much with the walls. So I'll swap them out for jungle and a few mangrove. Next up, it's time for a lid to sit on top of this thing. I got a bit overexcited and also popped in a bit of a tower at the back, which is completely for show and empty and serves no purpose. And it's coming together, but it's all starting to look a little bit pathetic at the moment. Now for the final touches of some windows, detailing, and more chimneys than really is necessary. That's it, all done from the outside, but it does feel like there's one final small thing missing. So to really finish it off, let's dip into the comments for a little bit of Snow does something from the comments you can join in too. Yeah. Yes, once again, Snow Does Something is back, and this week it comes from Anna, who suggested that a sniffer would be pretty handy around here. And you know what? I like that idea. Be right back.
A few moments later. Much later.
And then we'll pop that there and give it a cheeky bone meal. Much better. And obviously it wouldn't be a Snow Does Something without... Oh, yeah. Don't judge me. I was just trying to create a bit more space for this other guy to dig away. I think I might be a terrible person. But like I was saying, it wouldn't be a Snow Does Something without a little sign for the person who made it. Thanks, Anna. And also, while we're at it, I know this has already been pointed out by lots of people before, but how on earth are those not the eyes for this thing? Mojang be cray cray. Well, now the outside of this big old build is done with our ever-growing cat family, we really should get round to sorting out this interior. Unless... No, we have to. So let's spin around and magically it will all be complete. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's give that another try. And we'll spin around and it will all be complete. Wait, I've seen other YouTubers do this and it worked for them. Let's give it one more spin and it will all be complete. Yay, it worked a treat. And I didn't even have to build it all myself. Just some Minecraft magic. So I'll give you a quick tour of the interior, shall we? In here, we've hidden the furnaces, but still kept a little bit visible so you can see the cart zooming across over the top. The chicken room is, well, pretty ugly, but there's not really much we can do to hide that. Also, side point, when I turn my mob sounds back up a bit, this was the biggest mistake I've ever made in Minecraft. The chickens and the cats! Through here, we've obviously got the iron farm, which has been chugging along really nicely. And then I haven't forgotten, this thing was supposed to be filled with chests, wasn't it? Well, if we head up these stairs, in here we've got a tiny little pokey bedroom. And then through here, we've got a not so tiny little storage room. And this bad boy has like 150 chests, so I think that should keep us going for a little while. But as you can see by all the junk out here, I have some serious organising that I need to get to. So I think that'll do for today's episode. Catch you on the next one. Laters! Do you think we should let him down? I've got a question. What do you reckon the best naturally generated structure is? Could it be the big scary ancient city? Perhaps maybe a bastion? Or maybe even an end city? Nah, definitely not that. Well, I don't really know, but I'll tell you what it definitely isn't, and that's this thing. Like, what even is it? It's ugly, it looks pretty pants, and the only thing it's really good for is a bit of free mossy cobble. But today, we're going to change all of that. Because we're going to be upgrading this monstrosity, and we're going to make something that's a little less pants with something that's very useful inside. So first up, where are we going to put this thing? Because it's going to be absolutely massive. And actually I want it to be over here in our ever expanding jungle base, so we're going to need to find a good spot over here. And I reckon over here would be a pretty good place because it's kind of buried deep in the trees, and at least that's a little bit like the real thing. But I'm getting way ahead of myself because for a build this big we're going to need an absolute ton of stone, and in my new storage room, which is super organised as you can see, we are not particularly blessed with stone type bricks. And if my maths is right, we're going to need about 6,500 stone type blocks for this one, which is over 100 stacks. So let's quickly make ourselves a gold hat. And to make this stone related stuff go a little bit quicker, time to find a Nether fortress so we can get a beacon. And while we find our way out of this hellhole and go skelly hunting, it's time for a new segment called Guess Things That Happen to Snow in His Hardcore Minecraft World. Yes, we have a brand new over-the-top section where I want you, the average viewers, to guess something in the comments that's about to happen. So get those fingers ready and type in the comments how many wither skeletons you think we'll kill before we get our 3 skulls. Let's do this! Well, that's 3 skulls secured, along with some other lovely goodies like some blaze rods and some nether wart. And if you guessed 77 wither skellies to get the 3 skulls, then kudos to you. You get 77 snow points in the bag. Anyway, time to get out of this hellhole so I can stop freaking out about hitting zombie pigmen. Let's go find somewhere to kill that wither. Guess things that happen to Snow in his hardcore Minecraft world. Back in the sunny overworld, and it's time to think about that wither fight. And in the past, I've always fought the wither in a tunnel. So you know what we're going to do? Yep, we're going to go and do it in a tunnel again. But this time, we're going to take a few things with us to make it a bit more of an even fight. And when I say even fight, I mean heavily weighted in my favour. Guys, I'm counting on you. Protect me, please. 1, 2, 3, run away! Good luck, guys. I wonder how long this will actually last. Whoa! Look at him go! Absolute beast mode! Go on, guys! You got him! Go on! Hey! Well, that was easy. For me. Dude! You've worked so hard! Don't die on me! No! Ah! It's so sad. Not you as well. Sag. We'll get to using this thing soon, but first, time to clear a big space in the jungle. So as you can see, we've chopped down a lot of trees and we have a pretty big space to work with. And there's going to be a lot of space inside this thing and I want to use that wisely. So we should probably squeeze in a cheeky farm. And whilst we aren't quite ready for the dragon fight just yet, one boss today is enough, we might as well get a steady supply of gunpowder going. So we're going to build this Chapman farm, which works a treat and also means that we can get rid of all these noisy so-and-sos. And before we hide them away for a lifetime of misery, let's give them some identity with the names that you all suggested in the comments. So you can all say hello to Beans, Gatto, Snowball, his little sibling Snowflake, Pinky, Sandy, little baby Sir Meows a lot, Butters, Leo, and this little dude is Issues, but I've got my own issues because I've run out of name tags. So now we've said hello to them, let's instantly say goodbye and squeeze them into a farm for all eternity. Something bad happened. So I'm just going to gloss over that because I feel terrible, and we're going to need to make Snowball and Beans version 2 to finish this thing off. But at least the farm's finished, eh? And it's looking mighty fine. Shall we do a shaders preview of this thing? Yeah, I know, it looks gross. But now it's time to precariously AFK up here so we can see if this thing actually works. So let's dive down here with FreeCam and check out what's going on. Not much by the looks of things. Hey, there we go. It works a treat. But as good as that is, clearly we can't leave it looking like this for too long. So we need to cover it up, and step one for that task is gathering a whole bunch of blocks. And you'd think that would be straightforward, wouldn't you? And it was to begin with, as we created a new Efficiency 5 silk pick to grab the stone blocks. We then grabbed some iron and got placing down the iron blocks to make our first beacon in this world. We started digging out a big hole underground until, in truly idiotic style, this happened. So needing Silk Touch, we made a new pick and we got grinding away at the Skelly farm for levels. Went for an enchant and it was blooming Fortune, which we already had. So we made another pick, killed more Skellies, enchanted again, and again it wasn't what I wanted. So we got another pick, and this time with a level 2 enchant, and it wasn't what we wanted again. So I gave up, went in a different direction and dug a tunnel through to our breeder house, moved some annoying villagers and got rolling some trades. Eventually we got the 3 trades that we needed, and then we finally got back to digging out a bunch more stone. So now that's done, we have all the stone blocks that we're going to need for this build, as well as some other random junk. And now we have a massive hole down here and apparently the start-ins of a villager trading hall. But there is one thing that I've noticed we don't have much of, which is something that we are going to need quite a lot of for this build. So I'm going to build another farm to cure my laziness. And I'm thinking I might just be able to squeeze it inside the temple next to this thing. God, it's so ugly. Oh yeah, you're probably going to want to know what the farm is, right? Well, let me just say, you're not going to want to moss this one. I'm sorry, I don't know why I do it. And most moss farms are huge and will struggle to fit, so luckily I found this awesome video from Mr. Bazooki. But I'm a massive donor and I don't understand it really, so check their video out. But honestly, what's to understand other than the fact that this farm is amazing and it's super duper quick. Even this guy agrees and came to have a look. So I'm going to let this run for a bit and we can crack on with crafting the bits that we need to build our fancy new temple. And that is all now complete. It definitely didn't take me forever. And I also did this, which I thought would take a couple of minutes, but also took me forever. But thankfully, we now have a nice canvas to make a start. And I think the first thing that we need to do is make a big frame for how big this thing is going to be so we can cover up these farms. So let's give that a go. And that frame consists of a 43 by 43 base section, so this thing is pretty big. Then with 3 smaller rectangular bases, which kind of makes it look like a birthday cake. No? Maybe just me then. And I think it's about right. We might not have the proportions just right yet, but we're covering up the height of the creeper farm, and that's the main thing. I know, you're going to be sad when you can't see this thing anymore, right? Next, I think I want to have a stairway at the front here, so let's bang that in and see if we can sort out a wall design around this whole bottom layer. So for the walls, I added some stairs and wall blocks just to break up the flatness of it, with some little arches for some shape. And once that design was locked in, we whizzed round the whole shebang. And that's the first section done, and I think you kind of get the look we're going for here. Lots of mossy stone bricks and stuff, just like the real thing, but I tried to chuck in some other colours like the trapdoors, the stairs, and the deep slate walls just to break it up a bit. Now we need to repeat this design, but like 3 times. So we added a couple of new staircases to lead up to the next section, and then repeated that wall design across not 1, not 2, but 3 layers of the birthday cake. I mean, jungle temple. And we also added in a large staircase that went up from the second layer all the way up to the top. But as you can see, it's a little bare at the moment, and all you can really do is just hear the cats underneath. So I think we need to put a little build on top, but maybe a build with a little bit of a story behind it. And the story is that something went terribly wrong. But enough of that dramatic nonsense. I thought it would be cool to add a bit of a story behind this idea. So my idea was, oh, let me just use the front door. I'm not a monster. That obviously there is a creeper farm inside here, right down there in fact. And I thought maybe that this was discovered by some crazy clever science people. Well, people who thought that they were crazy clever science people, I guess. And they thought that they could build a creeper farm and experiment and make like gunpowder and TNT and stuff, but obviously it kind of went terribly wrong. So we've got a house that kind of went boom boom over here. We've got a little TNT making facility over here. This thing over here is the remnants of a little pulley system that used to collect the TNT from inside the farm. And over here we've got a little creeper statue. So now the build itself is all but done, we need to add a few zhuzhy bits like some vines and leaves and stuff to make this thing feel a little bit more overgrown. And we also need to do something with that little opening section at the front there. And that's done, and it's looking fancy as heck, with a little nod to those green things that are working their magic inside. And that leads down to where we can collect our gunpowder drops. The thing is though, this is looking a little bit lonely out here, so we need to join this thing up to our area and make it hidden away in the jungle a bit more. But before we do that, there's one thing that I need to take care of, isn't there, dude? Sorry buddy, you've been bouncing away up there since the last video. Let's finish this thing, baby! Guess what? We're done! And I wanted to make this whole thing pretty immersive, so I've packed a lot of detail into this. So as we walk through here, we've got a nice couple of little custom trees hanging about. We've got these little bamboo fire pits for that smoke movement. We've added a wither... Bro. Oh no. Well, that was unfortunate. But as I was saying, I've added a little wither rose just for a little nod back to earlier in the episode. Ouch. And there was a little pond of water here before, so I've just jazzed that up a little bit, so as we walk past, it just adds that little something something. And as you walk through here, you've got the little dock out the front, and then you've got these two massive jungle trees surrounding the temple. And as we walk up here, you've got these two little awesome creeper head statues out the front, just before we walk up into the temple. And bloomin' heck, am I happy with how this has turned out. I think this one really does deserve a shaders preview unlike that creeper farm. This one has taken me a fair chunk of time, but I think it's one of my favourite builds I've ever put together. And when you see this thing compared to the rest of the area, you'll realise how big this monster really is. But that's enough, that's it. I need to lie down in an early night after that one. See ya! Hello my fellow average humans, welcome back to the hardcore world, where in the last episode we made this absolute beaut of a jungle temple to hide our creeper farm. And now we've got a load of gunpowder, and because walking's boring and I want to fly about, that means today we're planning to complete the game and have a ding dong with a dragon. If we survive, of course. And to be perfectly frank, actually that's not right is it? My name's Snow, not Frank. And to be perfectly Snow, I'm pretty much good to go. The armour is pretty decent-ish, and I already grabbed some blaze rods a little while back. But in the last episode, when we got a few villagers sorted, we got these guys, but what we didn't get was a protection 4 bloke. And I want a protection 4 bloke. So if we're going to make a protection 4 bloke, then we should probably transform this horrible big hole into a massive grand library filled with librarians. And if we're going to build a massive grand library filled with librarians, then we should probably build something like this beautiful blurry tower on top of it, right? Which I think will probably go around this sort of area, and because I'm a bit backwards, I'm going to build the tower first. And I don't want to hang about, so I guess step 1 to that is cracking on with gathering a bunch of resources. Yeah? Yeah, boy! And by gathering a bunch of resources, I mean first grabbing some calcite, and then just grabbing a whole bunch of blocks that we already had from our storage house, and crafting them up into different bits and bobs. I then grabbed some wheat, made the sheep freezing cold, before then making some white concrete blocks and making a mess. And you can probably see from the bits we've got here that this is going to be a slightly different palette to the rest of the area. Over here we've got like jungle and mud and bamboo and all that sort of stuff, but I think it's time we mixed it up a bit, so I'm on a mission today to prove that diorite doesn't actually look like bird poop and we can use it in a decent build. And I'm thinking that we need to add a bit more height variation around here too, so I'm going to put a collection of towers here that can lead down to our library and add that height that we need. But before we can do any of that, this beacon needs to go, and then also a whole bunch of this bamboo to clear a bit of space. And now that's done, and as satisfying as it is to chop down a load of bamboo, now I do feel really bad, guys. I've started to decimate the home of this absolute beaut. Oh my god! I love it when they roll around, it's so cute! Wait, I think we give them bamboo, don't we? And then they get excited. Ah! Oh my god! Look at them! I want to keep you, but I think we need to give you a name. I've got an idea. Amanda the Panda. Perfect name for a panda, eh? Now, Amanda, I'm sorry to do this to you. Oh, don't show me your butt like that. But I don't want to lose you, so you're going to have to stay in that boat for now, and maybe we can find something to do with you a little bit later. Let me know in the comments if you could think of something special to do for Amanda the Panda that doesn't involve just kind of leaving her in a boat for the rest of eternity. But sorry, Amanda, now we need to stop pandering to you. Because now we need to crack on with making step 1 of our grand plan, the tower. And what I'm thinking is a big large tower here in the middle with a couple of other towers coming out a bit to the side. So for the big central tower, I'm thinking we go for some stony blocks at the bottom like this with a run of 5 and then a knobbly bit and then another run of 5 and another knobbly bit and another run of 5, etc, etc, until we make ourselves a lovely perfect circle that all joins up nicely. And then that's obviously going to go all the way up like, you know, an actual tower. And this is where the diorite poop block comes in. As you can see from this expertly constructed lapse of time, which makes me look like a bit of a speedy weirdo. But a weirdo who's tried to blend from the stony bits into the white concrete, but kind of feather in from the andesite and stone into the diorite blocks as a bit of a transition. And I think the blend of blocks is pretty nice. However, this middle bit here between the different tower shapes is obviously proper strange. So we need to do something about that, don't we? And it's done and it's looking pretty sweet. But as you can see, this is a little bit of a problem at the moment. So I'm running away to have a nap and to sleep the night away. See you later, suckers. And back to the build, it's obviously missing something pretty important, which is a roof. So seeing as this thing is basically just stone and white blocks, I think it probably needs a bit of colour. And I'm thinking that colour should maybe be a little bit of me. It's orange, just in case I didn't make that obvious enough. And if we head up here to our storage room, I think we've got a whole bunch of acacia, which is good. And I'm pretty sure over here we've got a handful of pumpkins. Yeah, we do. But I think we probably want some other orangey type blocks, like red sandstone, which we haven't found yet. So time to go on a bit of an adventure.
A few moments later.
Finally! Ugh, we've been rowing for ages. I have no idea why I decided to do this before getting wings. But come here, you sweet, sweet orange, not red sandstone. Here's a really quick time lapse of me getting sand and also getting some terracotta and also slipping over my sword totally by accident. Whoa! And after an extremely long and painful trip home, we are finally back home and me and my new parrot bros are ready to put our roof on this thing. Which, as you can see, has precisely about 7 bits of orange, not red sandstone, so that trip was definitely not a waste of mine and your time. But what is good is if I head down here, you can see that I've added some extra shape around the bottom here, and if we head into free cam, you'll see that the tower is starting to look very nice indeed. So nice that I think someone's moved in. Go away! So shall we add a couple of extra cheeky towers next to it then? Yes, okay Snow, you're the boss, let's do that. Starting with a slightly smaller 3 wide tower to the side, which we join to the main tower with a lovely little archway and then filled it out all at the bottom. Followed that up by adding another little tower on the opposite side, this time floating in the sky, but actually, oh wait, no it isn't, because we've joined that to the main tower as well, you clever little sausage. We then went round and just added a few little details on the towers, like some cute little windows and accessories like some hanging plants, barrels, and spanned a bunch of leaves around. And then I got a bit carried away and extended the path and spammed a bunch of flowers and stuff to try and make it look nice. And I think we should jump into a well cheeky look at it in shaders, because that makes it look even nicer, I think. Please give me validation. And if I take you inside, obviously I haven't done an interior, because why would I? But I have made this little staircase that takes you down into the villager hole, so start to have a bit of an idea of how this whole thing's going to be laid out. But before we can get started on the library, there's one block that we're going to need an absolute ton of for a library: bookshelves. And obviously we can get these in bulk from these librarian dudes, but for that you're going to need a bunch of emeralds, and we have 3. So we need a solution to that, and I'm thinking that we should move this very squashed in villager breeder and these unhappy fellas over to the tower over there. And then underneath this house we could put a little pumpkin and melon farm that we can then use to trade with some farmers for a whole bunch of emeralds. So while I figure out how to do that without losing all of these guys, I'm gonna crack on with that, and then you go and have a cup of tea or something, and I'll be back in a sec. Sorry to interrupt the tea interlude. I had to, just so you know. But I thought I would quickly show you what I've done so far. This is a shulkercraft tutorial, which I'll link in the description, and as you can see, it's already started working, albeit melons are a bit better than the pumpkins. So far I've done about half the decoration, still working on it, but I quickly needed to show you what's going to go in all these little pods. So if I break this block, you should be able to see. Oh! Oh my god, look at the little munchkins! They don't look particularly happy, do they? I figured if we had some farmers down here, then that should make the emerald trading a lot easier. Well, I'm going to finish trying to decorate this thing and try and stop these being fishermen and get them into their little pods, and I'll be back in a minute. All done, and looking pretty nice. There was one unfortunate incident though. I had to decorate this now because I know that if I don't, I never will. Which if you see how my Skelly farm from episode 1 is looking, you'll understand. So now I'm going to need to spend a whole bunch of time leveling these guys up to the pumpkin trade. But I'm thinking that there might be a way that perhaps we can kind of speed this up a little bit. Which is first to go and grab some wheat and lock in all the trades. What? Hello? What? How on earth did you get in here? Okay, well I guess we got a roommate now. And then get this guy to follow us. And make him fall down there. Past the breeder that I still haven't moved. Oh no. I don't think it worked. Make the puddle a bit bigger. And then get this guy to follow us. And get him to fall down there. And then as if they haven't had it hard enough already, he's gone and had a little munch on him. And then we can grab a few of these from the Nether. Make some of these. And then we can make some splash potions of weakness. And then we can cure these lot for some cheaper trades. So now I'll wait for them all to stop smelling, and then I'll do a spot of shopping and see you in a jiffy. AFKing in a box, AFKing in a box. All done, and we now have a whole bunch of emeralds ready to go, and hopefully that'll be enough to get some bookshelves. And special bonus, we were able to repair our tools as well. And I've done the maths, and with the size of the library that I want, I think we're going to probably need about 400 of the bookshelves. And with the price that these guys are charging, that's going to cost us a small fortune. So guess what guys, something super exciting. I now need to get all of these lot turned into librarians, and then I get to do the whole zombie thing all over again. Spoiler alert, this is sarcasm. But we cracked on anyway, grinding away the librarians, and after locking in the trades I wanted, we popped upstairs and found this guy who was a good boy and zombified them. And then I was a better boy by saving them from a lifetime of misery. We then did more shopping and upgraded our gear with the proceeds. And after all that, we now have a whole bunch of trades like bookshelves for 2 and mending for a solid 1, which has given us a whole bunch of snazzy new gear. Oh, and also all of these bad boys. P.S. That took forever. And obviously the whole point of this drawn out long-winded process was to go and do the dragon, which we are certainly kitted out for now. But we kind of need to do something for all this lot, because to be honest I feel a bit bad with them all being cooped up in here. But obviously I don't really feel bad for these lot who I don't really need at the minute, so they're just gonna kind of live here for the rest of eternity. See ya! So now it's finally time to build that massive grand library I've been banging on about. Time to gather a bunch of resources. Oh wait, there's a whole bunch of chests here. I wonder what's inside. Oh no way, they look like the perfect materas for a massive grand library. That is so unlikely, and this clip definitely isn't several hours later. So the first thing we want to do for this build is start to dismantle this stairway, because actually stopping villagers going up and down this thing is going to be a pain, and it kind of cuts off half the room. This ladder here goes straight up to the tower, and that'll be easier to block off, so I think that's going to be the route in. Much better. Next, time to think about the layout. I can't really be bothered to do any more digging, so I kind of want to make use of this layout that we already have here. So I'm thinking a level up here, and then maybe a staircase down to another section down here. That'll do for now, because this is just about trying to figure out the general layout. I think I'll probably have to push that wall back a little bit just to give a bit more space for this bottom section. But it's getting kind of hard to visualise at the moment what I'm going to do with the space. So I'm thinking I'm going to add some pillars around the edges for a bit of structure, which will probably link into some beams going along the top for the ceiling. So much for not mining out more stone. Apparently there was a load of water behind there, but I think that's a pretty solid shape, so we're going to have this angled bit at the end so it's not just a big square. Now let's fill it all in with some walls, but this is where the terracotta that we got earlier comes in handy. Nice! That adds that bit of colour and complements the other blocks so it isn't all just stone everywhere. These sprucey bits over here will probably be like bookshelves or something, but I need to come up with a design for that. And I also need to get a roof on it, maybe a floor down that isn't quite as grim, and then decorate the hell out of all of this place with bookshelves galore. Future snow, press fast forward on the recording now! And here we are, my friends, our beautiful library is all complete. And you know what? I am actually really chuffed with this, and I think it came out really nice. Let me know in the comments what you reckon. A fitting home for librarians? And we've got all the rows of bookshelves throughout, so you can kind of tell that it's a library. Over here we've used the lecterns as a little balcony thing to stop them falling over into the bottom section. And then we've got the stairs that lead us down to this big section at the bottom here with more bookshelves all the way around and a lovely massive fireplace to keep those librarians nice and warm. And speaking of librarians, what do you reckon? Should we let them out? That's better. They look totally at home now, don't they? Climbing up the bookshelves, like totally normal humans. And that's it. The time is finally here. All I wanted was protection 4, and in all that build up, we've built a beautiful tower for our village, a pumpkin farm housing farmers, our lovely library for the book dudes. But now I think the time is finally here for some absolutely epic filled drama as we try to defeat that big terrifying boss, the dragon. Finished! Welcome back to Hardcore, where in the last episode we wiped out the dragon like an absolute pro and made a bunch of stuff like this beautiful tower which covered up our underground library filled with villagers. But to be honest, none of that is even close to being the most important thing that we did in the last episode, where we met this beaut. Who the hell is this guy? Oops. Like I was saying, this absolute beaut, Amanda the Panda. And I asked for some ideas from fellow average peeps on what we should build for our new mate, and the feedback was pretty clear. So today we're going to build a beautiful panda enclosure for Amanda, and maybe we can find her some friends to chill out with. And I've been thinking that seeing as pandas love to munch on this stuff a lot, maybe we could squeeze in a little bamboo farm too. But before we can do any of that, you might remember that we finished the last video in the end, and we're currently at home with no wings. Well, I forgot to take rockets, didn't I? So let's quickly grab some gunpowder from the jungle temple, and then walk over to see all the bobs like an absolute elytraless numpty. Hi Bob. And then we can grab some sugarcane from the sugarcane farm, and then head home and craft some rockets, and go and do a bit of end raiding. I really wish I meant to do that. And after ending up back at spawn when I jumped through the end portal, I need to fly home now. And that does mean that I get to look at my base area from up above for the first time. And you know what? It looks pretty good if you ask me. Well, you didn't, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But anyway, we are finally back home and look at all these goodies that we got. We got this box, which is, to be honest, full of junk, so that's all just like junky and stuff. And then this is the box that's all full of the good stuff. So we got a load of shulker shells, which will make resource gathering a load easier. And then we got all of this legendary gear, which I guess that we probably don't really need anymore because of all the librarians. But who cares, because we're rich. So now it's time to start planning out where we're going to put this build so we can save poor Amanda from a lifetime of being trapped inside a boat. And I'm thinking that around this area where we found her is a good place because maybe we can link up like a path or a stream or something that leads through the archway of the tower. But at the minute, all this green stuff is causing a bit of a problem because I can't see anything. So let's chop a bunch of this down to make some space. Meow. Wow, that was like super fast, wasn't it? And you can also see that I let Amanda out of the hole just so she could see what's going on. But we got a lot of space to play with now, and I'm thinking for this build we can have a massive tower at the back here which will house the bamboo farm, and maybe we can kind of layer it on top of each other, and then we can decorate all around here with a bunch of natural bits like flowers and ponds and maybe some custom trees. And then obviously we need to put a massive wall around it because we need to force Amanda to like it and never leave, so we feel like we're doing a good deed instead of just trapping her here forever. You're right, Amanda. So first up, I think we're going to need to raise this bit up a bit because it's going to be a bit odd if the main build is one block lower than everything else. And then we need to make a layout for the tower, and I'm going to be brave / stupid and make it into a square. So I want a 13 by 13 layout around here, and I want the middle of the tower to line up with the middle of the archway, so I'm going to put a centre block round about here. Lovely jubbly, and then we just need to make a bit of a rough layout for the outer walls. And that'll do for now, and we'll come back to it in a bit because I think it's time that we found Amanda a bit of a friend who isn't, well, me. So first we need to hop down to our lovely library and find our unbreaking and mending guys. And then we can plop them onto our wings because they're looking a little bit worse for wear already. And then we can fix them up with a spot of trading. And then this is when they come in pretty nicely because we can fly around and find ourselves another panda. Aha! You'll do nicely. That's pretty decent actually because it's nice and close. Ah, look at your little snotty nose. That's so cute. Let's lead you up. Wait, what? Since when can't you lead a panda? Ugh, I guess we'll have to go with the old school method and try and entice him with some bamboo all the way home. This should be fun. Well, we made it, but apparently pandas are the slowest things to move in Minecraft. But we made it, and I guess maybe we should let Amanda out of her boat, and then maybe we can make ourselves another little panda. You're just going to sit there and eat bamboo, or are you actually going to make a baby? I think I might need to research this one.
A few moments later.
So after a very embarrassing Google search, apparently you can't make a baby without a whole bunch of bamboo sticking around. Oh! He sneezes! Oh my god, it's so cute! But we must not allow ourselves to get distracted by ridiculously cute sneezing pandas, because we've got to get this bamboo farm done. And if we're going to do a bit of redstone, it's time for... Average redstone with average snow, teach you all the things that you need to know. Yep, it's back. Despite a lack of popular demand, the feature where a totally average snow explains some totally average redstone. And this particular redstone is going to go inside the tower, so with great skill, let's magic the farm in. Hey pandas, you're in the way of my sparkling transition. That's better. So with that great skill I was talking about, let's magic the farm in. And then I can give you the lowdown. And the lowdown is that this is a stacked bamboo farm with 2 layers. The first layer here we have the standard observer and piston shenanigans, with the rail collecting the drops and dropping them off in these chests. And then we've got the clever bit up here, or at least the bit that's too clever for me, which is this comparator and dropper setup on the second layer. So when the bamboo ends up going from the rail into a hopper that feeds into this dropper here, we've got a comparator here next to it which detects that there's something in there, and that makes all of this red clever stuff fire, which activates the dropper. That shoots the stuff down into this hopper, which then feeds into this little chest setup that we've got down here. P.S. I learned all of that from this Avamance video, so to find out how it really works, watch that video. Link in the description, innit? Average redstone with average snow, teach you all the things that you need to know. And while we've been plodding along making that thing, which yes I'm aware looks horrible currently, I've also been breeding up these lot, so the clan of pandas is growing inside this bamboo prison that I've constructed so they don't run away. So now to go along with Amanda the panda, we've also got Miranda the panda and Fernanda the panda. And it was at this point that I dropped out a community post asking for a bunch more average panda names. We'll come back to that later. Because now we need to start thinking about putting a build around this monstrosity. And I've been thinking about what colours I want to use, and obviously it makes sense for us to use bamboo because of all this stuff that we got from clearing this space out. And I've been thinking after looking at all these flowers next to the yellow that a red coloured block might be nice to complement. So we've got to go all the way back to the Badlands for a bit of red terracotta. And I want to link these biomes up in the Nether, but I've got a bit of a confession to make about Nether travel. Because if we head through our portal, and then go straight back through, since episode 1 you can see that our portal hasn't been linking up properly and we end up over here right next to the jungle temple. I'm guessing that the coordinates probably want for our normal portal for it to be hanging about somewhere over this horrific lava lake over here. So let's make life easier and get ourselves onto the Nether roof, shall we? So first things first, let's break this portal, and then we need to tower all the way up to bedrock. And once we found a bit of that stuff with a targeted block of Y127 like this one here, we can then climb up to the top of it with a ladder and then chuck this ender pearl and kind of hope for the best. But hey, we made it! And then this is the bit where you kind of hope you brought everything you needed to get back down, because if I didn't, we're stuck here forever. Which thankfully we do, so we can set up this contraption like this clever video told me to. And then if we hit this, and hold down here, apparently we do it wrong and we nearly die. But thankfully I fully expected to fail, so I brought a bunch of spares. Yikes. And amazingly, if we hold the piston like we're supposed to, it might actually work. Because then we can break this thing, and there you go. There's our hole to get back down. So then in theory, if we make a new portal just here, this should link straight through to our proper portal in the overworld. But hey! It's almost like we knew what we were doing. Now I get the fun job of doing a cheeky spot of resource gathering, which includes me first smelting some sandstone before chopping some mangrove, which is always a right laugh, sheared some red sheep, stripped and chopped a bunch of spruce before popping into the Nether for the final 2 bits. First some shroom lights where I forgot to bring a hoe, so that took ages, and then after getting this advancement thanks to the roof, popped through to a Badlands and grabbed some of that red terracotta that I promised what feels like an age ago. And then after a whole bunch of crafting bits and bobs, we now have a load of materials ready to make a start on this tower. And first we're going to grab this famous red terracotta, and then we're going to make a start with getting rid of this thing and building a giant red box. And then obviously this is looking pretty awful, so we need to add some framing and shape, like maybe some arches over here. So for that I think we'll get some of the stripped spruce logs. Easy for me to say. And then we'll use those for some beams. So first let's knock out a couple of blocks for some windows there, and I think there. And then we can make ourselves some little archways for the windows, which as you can see gives us a pretty simple archway for the window area, and in the middle where we're going to have a big doorway, I've knocked out a little space for the door. And we're going to want to put an archway in the middle here for some shape, but because this is a bigger section than the windows, we're going to need to go for a different design. So we're going to put a stair there, one on the beam and one on the back of that stair. We'll repeat that on the other side so it matches, and then once we've done that we'll pop a spruce trapdoor in the middle, and then that gives us this really cool little shape which mixes it up and looks a little bit different to the windows. So I've gone round and added all of the spruce beams, and I've also been adding these little trapdoors as window ledges as well. Now we need to add a bit of height to cover this thing up, and I'm thinking that we need some contrasting colours, so we're going to use a bit of sandstone, and then we're going to plonk a couple of boxes on top of this thing. Looking good. I think the size is about right, and we've kept in some of these spruce beams as well in here to break up the sandstone walls, and I've left in there some spaces for windows as well. Now we need to figure out a lid for the top, and I think we need to sort out this transition between these different layers, which I think is where we can bring in some of that bamboo. Roof time lapse, baby! Oh yeah, that's the one. Kind of gone a little bit wild with all these different colours, but it's looking so good. You can see we've got these kind of arches here that give it a nice shape, and it's looking pretty good with that darker deep slope trim. Now we just need to finish this thing off with some detailing. And for that we whizzed round and added composters for a base to the build, before then adding some big funky windows, and then a load of other bits and bobs like some not very big but still funky windows, some fences for supports, and then some hanging shroom light thingies to give some light. All of which looks so good, and I am totally in love with this thing. And it looks even better in shaders. And considering it's a style I've never done before, I think it came out pretty decent, and I am feeling very chuffed with that. And I also sorted out in here with a very simple interior where I brought the drops round here around the corner, and it is working an absolute treat. Obviously though, I didn't do round here because I am very, very lazy. And as you can see, the pandas are kind of increasing in numbers, obviously plotting to take over the world, as you can see. But maybe they aren't quite as excited about this build as I am, because we've got some over here, we've got a bunch over here, we've got some all the way over here. I think there's one going for a little swim over here somewhere. Don't know where he's ended up. There he is. They obviously haven't really been a big fan of the bamboo prison, so now is probably a good time to name a handful of them using your suggestions, including Brenda, Flapjack, Oreo, the totally unique name Frogcrafting. You can be Pamela, Pickles, and finally, for now, Alan.
Alan! 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 Alan!
We'll name a few more in a bit, because right now we probably need to build up a wall around this thing to stop them escaping. So I hopped into a creative world to try and figure out a cool design that would go with the build, and then hopped straight back into the hardcore world and started putting the wall together. We used stripped acacia, some mangrove and some cherry bits, and then went round repeating it all around the outline that we did earlier. And I don't know what you think, but I think this is looking great. The colour is a proper vibe, and it goes really nicely with the tower at the back here. And you can see that we've brought down most of the bamboo prison, which wasn't working very well, and these guys are absolutely loving it. Except this guy. I accidentally punched him and he's chasing me down like an absolute madman. Ow! So I'm going to name them Sir Grumpsalot, and then while we try to evade him, let's finish this place. Ow. Ow! And finish it we did, starting with the painstaking task of making a little pond and a stream going all the way down to the river in front of the library tower. One bad thing did happen though. But after getting over that, we built a little bridge across the stream to maybe stop some more tragedies happening, as well as a little stony hideaway shelter thing for the pandas to have a nap in. We then cracked on with two lovely custom cherry trees, and hanging off the second one, a little swing for our mates to have a play around on. We then whizzed round and spammed some lighting, a bunch of bamboo and flowers, before finishing off with this absolute beaut of a panda enclosure. Not too shabby for a bunch of grumpy pandas. And I am loving it. And I think these lot are too. Even Sir Grumpsalot has cheered up a bit. And while we're checking in on these lot, let's name a few more using the awesome names that you guys suggested, including Winnie, Oscar, Magpie, Effie, Hubert, and finally, Noodle. And that's about it. Not much more really to say, other than something quite important. See ya! Hello, how's it going? Welcome back to the hardcore world with another properly average video. In the last episode, we made this new home for Amanda the Panda, and all of her mates, of course. And I have to say that this is probably one of my favourite things from the series so far, because not only does it look absolutely bloomin' marvellous, as you can see, it's also feeling pretty useful, because we've got the bamboo farm down here, and that is chugging along very nicely indeed. And speaking of farms, we've made quite a few so far in this world to help us along the way. So today I'm planning to make our lives even easier by building a whole raft of farms, starting with a new supply of food. And that's something that's feeling pretty badly needed at the moment, because we've been living off the chickens from this farm in here since episode 3. And this chicken tastes properly rubbish, alright? It's overcooked in this pit of lava and it's just plain boring chicken. It doesn't even have any seasoning or flavour or anything. So we need a new supply. And in the last video, we got ourselves up here and we did that with absolute professionalism. So I thought that that gives us a good chance to make a farm that I've never done before and one that allows me to mass slaughter a mob that I absolutely detest. So we could crack on with making that first, but I've just realised I've come all the way over here to record this bit and I've brought none of the stuff with me that I need. Be right back. Okay, we're back on the roof and we got all the bits that we need. It looks like a lot, but actually it's not too bad in terms of resources for a farm, except for this many hoppers, which is an insane amount really. But hopefully worth it to never have to make food ever again. So now we need to fly around and search for a crimson forest biome, and then we can crack on with making our first farm of the day. Ooh, that's a weird angle. And it was pretty easy to make actually. It's basically some platforms for the hoggers to spawn on, and when they see those green fungusy things, which I forget the name of, they run away and fall straight into the lava killing bit in the middle. And I bet that you thought clever old me made this thing up, didn't you? No? Of course not. I followed a really easy tutorial from They6, so go check out their video to see it in all its glory. And while you do that, I'm going to head all the way up here to AFK for a bit, and then we can see how well this farm works. Okay, we've done about 20 minutes worth of AFK. Let's head down there and see how much food we've got. Maybe I'll wait till they've gone before I record the next bit. Okay, the moment of truth, here we go. Oh my god, this is insane. Look at this. That's from 20 minutes. I bet there's more over here as well. Let's have a look. Bloomin' hell. That is ridiculous. This might even be enough food to last the entire series just from 20 minutes. So that's farm number 1 from our plans today complete, and time to move on to our next one, which is all about flying around. And you might be thinking, Snow, why are you doing stuff about rockets when you've already got this beautiful thing covering up our gunpowder farm? Well, basically, there's 2 bits to this. Firstly, we do already have a sugarcane farm, which is over here with Bob and all the other Bobs. But as you can see, it's pretty small, and because we're never over here, we aren't really getting the resources. So I'm going to sort an even bigger one back here in our main village, but before we do that, we also need to sort something out with the gunpowder. Because whenever I need to AFK at this thing, I have to place a bunch of this scaffolding and tower all the way up. Which is painstaking. Very, very painstaking. So we need a better AFK platform, and I had the idea of having a plane up high, which I figured can just kind of float around in the sky. Like, well, a plane, I guess. And I'm pretty pleased with how it's come out in the end. And I can kind of imagine a whole bunch of these kind of flying around in the sky above this area, so maybe we could add some of those in another time just to add a little bit more to the place. The only problem, I guess, is that you can't really see it from down here. But as you get a little bit closer, it looks just plain awesome. A hilarious joke. A hilarious dad joke. A hilarious joke. I can't believe that he went and said that. Dad joke. So now getting the gunpowder from this thing should be a lot easier, which, as we can see from down here, it's working a treat. Which is pretty handy considering this and this is all the rockets we've got left at the moment. The backlog at the moment though is the sugarcane. So first we need to figure out where we're going to put this thing, and I'm thinking that maybe we can do something with this little area over here behind the portal and opposite the tower. And rather than trying to build a big gigantic house to fit the farm in, I'm going to first come and grab these bits here, and then we can place down a whole bunch of these golem blocks. And then we can clear a whole bunch of trees, dig a massive hole underground, and then finally build that famous farm. So here's me clearing some trees, then here's me digging a big hole as promised. Here's me painfully searching for redstone because I didn't have enough, and then for good measure, here's me building a beautiful / ugly big sugarcane farm for all our sugarcane needs. I tried to figure this out myself, and I actually didn't follow a redstone tutorial for like the first time ever, so naturally I'm feeling like a total genius after this. But basically it's got 2 layers, and on the top section here the minecart is whizzing round and collecting all the sugarcane drops, and over here we've got that feeding into a dropper, and that goes down to this section here where the minecart collects it. The minecart then whizzes round the bottom section collecting the sugarcane at the bottom here, and then it goes all the way over to this minecart unloader here, and then we get all of our drops deposited into this chest. Obviously there's going to be way more effective ways to do it, but considering my average redstone skills, I'm feeling pretty proud about that. So now step 2 of the plans is complete, and our super duper sugarcane farm has given us all the rockets that we need. Next up, a pretty simple farm to help with flower collection. And part of that, as beautiful as this massive big hole in the ground is, I think we should probably cover it up with something. And I'm thinking that we can cover this up with a house, and then we can probably hide some little micro 2 tall flower farms inside. Time to gather some materials. That's my butt. And by gather materials, I mean grabbing some bamboo and then some moss from our farms, shearing some green sheep for wool before heading into the Nether, firstly for some warped wood, before heading to the Badlands for some more terracotta. We then pre-stripped a bit of wood and noticed that one of the cows looked to be feeling a little bit under the weather. And then after a bunch of time crafting blocks, we now have a load of stuff that should be enough to build a house on top of this absolute chasm in the ground. Just gotta wait for these absolute jokes to finally oxidize. The mayor of the copper is protecting them. So first let's do a bit of terraforming to cover up this hole. Very nice. It's almost like you'd never know it was there. Now we just need to use some of this cobblestone to create ourselves a bit of a layout for a build. I'm thinking that's about right. We can have the main structure in the middle here. We can have big staircase going up to the entrance on the left hand side over here. And then we'll have something else sticking out the side over there just to give it a bit more shape and depth. Now we can start to build up the structure of this thing, so what I just explained makes sense and doesn't make me sound like a loony. I think it's about right, although it's kind of in the trust the process stage at the minute. But I think the shape is good and it leads nicely down to this little section here in front of the river. Now we need to add a pop of colour, which will come in the form of this red terracotta and a cheeky bamboo roof. Oh yeah, it's looking good. It's amazing what happens when you add a roof onto something. It actually looks like a proper house, and a little slanted roof for good measure. We've also added this little side building over here. Basically, if in doubt, just add a bunch more shapes to the thing and it kind of mixes it up a bit. Now all we need to do is add a whole bunch of details like the stairs over here, a chimney and some windows, and then some other little details just to finish this thing off. So that's exactly what we did, putting in a wonky staircase, a couple of chimneys for the win before detailing the build with windows and some other little nuggets to finish the thing off. And after decorating the heck out the front and extending the path down, here is our finished sugarcane cover-upper house. Pretty catchy name, don't you think? In here is a bit of a mess at the minute, but I'm thinking we can use this for sugarcane storage and we can try and find a way to get the drops from down there up into here. And if we take a walk up the wonky staircase, you can see that I've also done a little interior which has these micro farms that I mentioned before. So basically we just come behind here and whack on all of these levers and we'll get all the flowers that we'll ever need. Also through here I've somehow managed to squeeze in a little nano crop farm that we can use. It's all very snug. But basically we just whack this lever on and hold right click down here and we get loads of crops, and we can do this for carrots, potato and wheat. But it's all very loud because everything goes a bit crazy because it's so snug. That's better. So now we're really motoring on, and that's 3 of our farms done. Next up, 2 farms almost exclusively just because I like candles because they look nice. And after making this one look pretty, the next one is also going to be pretty. Pretty gross and ugly. Ha ha! Because just behind this house, when I was off camera going around a mineshaft, I found something, which I've put a ladder to down there. You'll be surprised to hear that given it was in a mineshaft, it's this beauty of a spider spawner, which will do nicely for a bit of string and also a little bit of extra XP, seeing as our only XP source at the minute is a very slow skelly spawner. So with the power of some editing magic, guys, I think I edited too hard and something really bad happened. So with our big exciting plans to create a whole bunch of useful farms, we managed to get 3 fully done. I guess we aren't really going to have much use for the other ones now, are we? Shall we take a look at what happened? So I'm now in fully sports punditry mode as I managed to get a replay mod file to look at the dramatic end. I did actually get the farm built, as you can see here, and I thought I'd be clever and make a water elevator to get up and down. So far, so good. You can then see here a completely average Minecrafter standing at the top, and at this point I'm kind of contemplating whether I want to drop down into the 1x1 water that I left at the bottom, or whether to do it in a more safe way. Obviously, I probably should have trusted my instincts. Eventually, I decided to jump in, and that was it. All done and dusted. In hindsight, I think the main culprit was this fence gate, meaning that I landed on the block next to the water. What an absolute muppet. So I guess my success rate in hardcore isn't too great so far, but I think what isn't too bad is what we achieved in this world. I was really loving what we were building up in this area and in this series, with some builds that I am really proud of. But I suppose that's the risk that you take with hardcore. But I guess all average things must come to an end. I'm fine, I promise.